Well, corporate media are warning that they all may be imprisoned, you guys, if Donald Trump is reelected. They're telling us that they are scared. Now, not only...
Hold on, let me get some tissues out.
Okay, yeah. Not only are they playing the victim, they are sort of asking us to vote against Trump in order to save themselves because they are such heroic truth tellers, as in like, I'm really going to be at risk because I dare to tell the truth because of my commitment to truth, which rings very hollow to me because these are the same people who lied incessantly during the whole Trump administration about Russiagate. Nothing ever happened to them. They were allowed to just tell us all lies, promise us that Donald Trump was going to be arrested any day now during his presidency. Nothing ever happened except they lost trust and they lost ratings. So they lied and they got away with it. But now they're asking us to think that they're in trouble for all their truth telling. And I cannot abide that after being lied to about the Steele dossier, the COVID pandemic, the Hunter Biden laptop. They have been safe to tell all of those lies all along during the Trump years and the Biden years. So, they want us to now vote against Trump to protect them, but they're liars. So, okay, watch MSNBC's White House correspondent Nicole Wallace saying that by this time next year, if Trump's elected, I might not even be here.
I've seen that toast a bunch of times, but it landed very differently this year because depending on what happens in November, 7 months from right now, this time next year, I might not be sitting here. There might not be a White House correspondents' dinner or a free press. While our democracy wouldn't exactly fall apart immediately without it, the real threat looms larger. A candidate with outward disdain, not just for a free press, but for all of our freedoms and for the rule of law itself.
My God, we're going to...
No, Nicole Wallace, what will we do?
She might not be on TV anymore.
Yeah.
What am I going to do?
I don't know.
I hope she's the only one.
So they warned us about this.
She is, so my life won't change.
Oh, okay. They warned us about this during the Trump campaign in 2016. And they said these exact things that, he's threatening to lock up his political opponents. That will include the media. You must be afraid that journalists will not be afraid to be allowed to tell the truth. And so when Trump was elected, I kind of bought that. And I was like, oh, I wonder, Clayton's been critical of Trump on Fox before. He was critical of some things that he did during the campaign. So does that mean us? Are we going to jail during the night of the election? I did wonder this too. That's a load of garbage that I was fed in 2016, and I'm not buying that again. Rachel Maddow and MSNBC, you already sold that to us and you were safe. And what did you do with that safety? You lied. You've been lying for 8 years. So screw off. Here is MSNBC's Rachel Maddow saying something similar in this CNN interview. The author feeds her this sort of lobbed question about having a target on her back if Trump regains power. And let's just read it. She says, he says, are you worried that you'd be a target? And she says, well, I'm worried about the country broadly, not just myself, clearly, because I'm so selfless. I'm worried if we put someone in power who is openly avowing that he plans to build camps to hold millions of people and to root out what he's described in subhuman terms as the enemy from within. Look at the Biden campaign. Just want to say that. Again, history here is helpful. He's not joking when he says this stuff. And we've seen what happens when people taking power proclaim that kind of agenda. And there's a little bit of head in the sand complacency that Trump only intends to go after individual people he's already singled out. Do you really think he plans to stop at well-known liberals? It also seems pretty clear in politics that they think they'll be on the safe side and they might even benefit from it if they side with Trump. But ask Mike Pence how that works out in the end. She says when Trump invokes the Insurrection Act to deploy the U.S. military against civilians on his first day in office, do you think that he then rescinds the order on a day or two? For that matter, what convinces you that these massive camps he's planning are only for migrants? So yes, I'm worried about me. I might go into a migrant camp. But also I'm worried about all of us. She said it's for all of us. She's really worried about. She says he's going to punish us all, put us in camps. label us as the enemy from within. Now, this must be a party-wide talking point because Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has been echoing it as well. She was on the Kara Swisher podcast just last week, and she said, yeah, same thing. She got this question, what happens to you if Donald Trump wins? And she says, I mean, it sounds nuts, but I wouldn't be surprised if this guy threw me in jail. They're really obsessed with me. You know, it's really hard. She says, really? He's out of his mind. I mean, he did his whole first campaign around lock her up. That's his motto. She says sarcastically, he didn't say that. She goes, yeah, right. She goes, I take him at his word. I take him at his word when he says he's going to round people up. I take him at his word when he threatens journalists. I take him at his word. Okay. So that's what she's saying. And an important follow-up question would be, why didn't he the first time? Why? Why were you, you were just as obnoxious then. Why didn't you get rounded up for that? I'm just wondering, is there some argument to make that Trump is somehow madder, more unhinged, has more of an axe to grind this time than last time? Now, I don't see that as part of the campaign, but if you do, let me know. Maybe I've missed it. They're just saying, again, he's just more scary than this time. And the first administration was no precedent.
They're out of strategies. I mean, clearly they're out of strategies. They're out of tactics.
Yeah.
So now they're playing on your fears that, oh my God, an AOC might be rounded up, might be prosecuted, they might use lawfare against her, or your media stars, your Rachel Maddow's, your Nicole Wallace's. I mean, I don't even know who these people are. I don't even, honestly, Nicole Wallace, other than seeing a clip or two of her from time to time, she was a former Bush person. I mean, who the hell cares about these people?
I've been in the makeup chair with her a few times.
Yeah. But our show gets, 10 times the viewers that her show gets on MSNBC. I mean, who the hell cares about these people? And do you think that Trump cares about some little MSNBC anchors?
They are standing themselves up as an important pillar of democracy. If a free press crumbles, our democracy will crumble around it. That's exactly what she said. If we have no free press, our democracy will take some time, but it will eventually crumble. And she is the free press,
do we have free press?
Ombudsman, right, of the people. She's rooting out the truth that we need her or else we're all doomed. She's literally saying if the rug's pulled out from under her, our entire society collapses if she can't be sitting there next year.
Is she aware at all at the level of collusion between the Biden administration and the intelligence state and the different government agencies that have gone after the free press in the United States?
I'm quite sure she's aware, but her job is dependent on her not knowing this.
Okay, all right.
So she's not a stupid person, but isn't that
it's what is that phrase when you pretend you don't know?
Cognitive dissonance, but there's a
dissonance. Yep.
There's a quote of is it Emerson? A man cannot know that which his salary is dependent on him not knowing. Something like that. There's a quote like that.
It's like a Mark Twain quote or something like that.
Something like that. Okay. Well, again, I just wonder, who will fall for this now? These are the people who lied through their teeth about Hunter Biden's laptop, about the Steele dossier, the COVID pandemic. I could go on. And they lack curiosity now to look at things such as whether or not the Trump trial was constitutional. They lack curiosity about Ukraine, government influence, fast-track clinical trials. They lack curiosity about human trafficking at the southern border. They only report on what gives them dopamine and makes them feel superior. Now, I don't think that their freedom to lie is at threat. I think they can keep lying. I don't think the Trump campaign is after them per se, but again, you can show me where he's threatened them and I'll take it seriously. I think they are digging their own grave by being biased liars, and any non-Biden candidate should just leave them to it, because this is a tactic from Napoleon. Never interrupt your enemy when he is making a mistake. They're lying. They are tanking themselves. We could just leave them to it. Just leave them. We don't need to arrest them unless they break a law. We just leave them. And then they'll be talking to themselves on the air with nobody. And they're not even trying to regain our trust. That was painfully apparent last week when the Washington Post had a big management shakeup. And the new publisher admitted just how bad their readership is. Here in this it is the story about the shakeup at the Post and how now there's new leadership. He said this to his staff. He said at one point he had to tell the staff, we are losing large amounts of money. Your audience has halved in recent years. People are not reading your stuff. I can't sugarcoat it anymore. So I've had to take decisive, urgent action that sets on a different path, sourcing talent that I've worked with that are the best of the best. So what are they going to do? Are they going to apologize because they've been lying? They've been leading us into war. They've been incurious about things that turned out to be not conspiracy theory. No, that's not what they're going to do. Here's what he says he wants to do. He says the most important thing, untapped audiences. That's what he wants. We lied to our old audience. They don't trust us. We can't get them back. So we need to find new people to lie to, basically. That's how he thinks that the media can save itself. It's just new blood. We lied ourselves out of our old audience, so let's find some new ones. And how did this...
wait until they run into Gen Z.
Yeah.
They are not the audience they think they're going to be. The young kids coming up are not going to toe the line for you. I can guarantee it.
Yeah.
Also hilariously, do they honestly think that young people are buying newspapers?
No.
Subscribing to what young people do you know that subscribe to the Washington Post?
They don't mean young people. They just mean people that we've never reached before.
Oh, so there might be like a 60-year-old person out there.
Yeah.
Who's thinking for the first time.
Some demographic, maybe not age. I mean, that's one demographic is age. And Philip's right. That's a harder road to hoe. Road to hoe. Uh-huh. Road to row. I don't know.
Something about a hoe.
It's harder for them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They need new hoes is basically what
they need new hoes. Maybe one demographic they have not yet tapped into.
That's what they should do. Hit the streets. Hit the streets and find some hoes.
For somebody like, kind of comical from somebody like Washington Post. It's not like they're a new publisher. They've been around long enough that anybody that would give a shit knows who they are. Yeah. So their readership is capped. The market is saturated. They've hit everybody they're going to hit. So the only new people they could be going after would be young people. Yeah. Because they're the only people that didn't grow up with it.
But they're not going to buy. Yeah, they're not going to buy it. Yeah, exactly right. So yeah, that's hilarious. Untapped audiences. So he's really begging, like, hey guys, let's go after untapped. He never said, let's just start telling the truth. Let's make them trust us again. Let's do better journalism. No, just let's find new people to lie to in the same vein. And how did this land in the newsroom? Absolutely on deaf ears. The staff was not concerned at all about righting their wrongs. They were upset because the new people in charge are white men. That's literally why they were upset. So here is one sort of response is everyone was pretty shocked by your email last night. The reporter suggested that the most cynical interpretation sort of feels like you chose two of your buddies to come in and help run the Post. And now we have 4 white men running 3 newsrooms. And this is contrary to your prior commitment to diversity. So yeah, the ship is going down. We're on a sinking ship, but diversity quotas.
Yeah, so
never mind the ship. If the ship goes down, we all drowned. So diversity won't matter at all, but it matters right now while we're failing.
Our product has totally tanked. No one's reading our newspapers. People aren't even buying it to line their bird cages with anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm worried about diversity in our newsroom.
I can't see 4 white men at the helm of this. It's really bothering me. I'm not going to be able to do my best work as a reporter right now.
Debbie Bart Koyak says, hey, I'm 60 years old. I'm not mentally stunted enough to fall for their BS. Thank you, Debbie.
All right. So here's again what he's going on and on like we're dying here. We have to right the ship. We have to get our readership back. And again, it must have been really frustrating to him because then later in the meeting, here's what was reported. He's going on this like, please, we got to work. As far as diversity goes, it's not great, but we'll do better going forward. But we have to survive to go forward. Look at the second paragraph. Later in the meeting, another reporter asked whether any women or people of color were interviewed or seriously considered for these positions. I mean, talk about like read the room. has diversity alone got us any better politicians or better journalists? That's, I guess, for us to collectively decide at this point. But it's hilarious just how tone deaf they are on the fact that they are losing the trust and the readership of the American people because they're idiots, but they're so worried about the wrong thing. But here's
I wonder if the captain of the Titanic, when it was going down, if anybody had asked him, like, hey, did anybody consider like a woman or a person of color for your position? He's like, you realize this ship is sinking. He's like, no, we just curious, like trying to save the ship. Just curious.
Exactly that. So here's some more commentary on media bias that does not bode well. A Media Research Center analysis of ABC, CBS, and NBC's evening news coverage shows, shockingly, that the networks have been far less interested in the felony trial of Hunter Biden than they were of the felony trial of Donald Trump. You already knew this in your gut, but the findings show, and here's just a summary, just how many times Hunter Biden's felony was not mentioned, how many times they sort of kept off a lot of the finer points about his trial. And again, did they apologize for lying about the laptop? No, they did not. So I'm not hoping that any anchor gets put in a camp or a jail. Absolutely not, unless they violate a law. But, you know, selling our soul to the corporate media devil is not enough for them to go to jail, obviously. But they have become like those millennial gym ladies that we talked about yesterday, who are just like, everyone's obsessed with me. I don't know why. And we're not. You're obsessed with yourself. We might be if you were truth tellers. We don't want to prosecute you. We'd rather pretend you don't exist unless you decide to tell the truth.